name is Michael Crammer, and this is the Liberty News Network. Today's topic is the Battle of Bunker Hill. What brought us here to this vicious battle? Who won and who lost? Nothing is as simple as it seems. Was this battle about greed? Was this battle about power and glory? Or was this battle about liberty and freedom? Well, it depends on whose side you were on. But in my opinion, this battle was about all the above. It was the most significant so far because even though they technically lost, the colonists won the battle. Let's start from the beginning. Now, by beginning, I'm not talking about the creation of the universe. I can't describe the who, what, where, and why of that conversation. So let's fast forward to the year 1763. It is the end of the 7 Years' War between France and the British colonies. The French surrendered to the colonies, won. But here we go with the beginning. The British were a big part of the colonies winning that war, and they had to pay the bill. Was it foolish to think that Britain wasn't going to ask for that money back? Well, they broke open the piggy bank and saw their only option to get their money back was to begin taxing the colonists. The first tax was the Stamp Act, which made everyone in the American colonies have to pay for something that came on paper. So if you wanted to get a newspaper, you would have to pay the 1 cent tax on top of the cost of a newspaper. That was a lot of money back then. But Britain had spent a lot on the 7 Years' War, and now they had used up a lot of their money and needed to get it back somehow. The colonists didn't like this one bit. I mean, what was going to keep Britain from taxing more things if the colonies just accepted that they could do this? It's like if a kid at school takes your chocolate milk during lunch and you let him, what stops him from doing it the next day? And what if you have a cookie and he wants that too? Well, you didn't stand up and say no for milk, so the cookie could be fair game. If Britain was the bully in this story, then Sam Adams and Thomas Jefferson were the heroes. Together, they joined forces and created the Sons of Liberty, a secret patriot political organization formed to fight for British rule in the colonies. They created a network of men who fought the British by sabotaging them any chance they could get. And this made the British want to fight back and impose their will on the colonies. This is exactly what the British began to do. They started taxing everything, and that made the colonists start to be sneaky and try to get away with not paying taxes. They smuggled things in secretly, and even tax collectors sometimes looked the other way and were doing deals on the side. I mean, let's be real here. The people who lived in the New World were rough and tough and rascally. They were outlaws who wanted to be left alone to do their own thing. Thank you very much, King George III. But Britain and the king weren't going to back down. Now it was a battle of wills. Unfortunately, Britain had the resources, they had the ships, troops, money. So they came and occupied Boston and the harbor in 1768. This made smuggling harder and being sneakier harder for the colonists. Things were tough in the colonies. Winters were hard, and every penny counted. Britain began to looked like a true bully who would take from people who barely had anything to begin with. Was it surprising to anyone that in March of 1770, some colonists who were angry with the British began throwing snowballs and stones at the soldiers in a protest to the occupation? No one wanted them there, and soon a mob formed. The soldiers made a huge mistake, and someone fired a shot. I think that shot was received to the Revolutionary War. It changed everything for both sides. It is known as the Boston Massacre because 5 colonists died and 6 others were wounded. This was significant. It was like drawing a line in the sand, and the British crossed it. Boy, did they ever. The British began passing acts that were unfair to the colonists. And they just kept taking and taking to benefit themselves. They took homes, taverns, people's things without any care. They closed ports and did not let anyone in or out who wasn't British. And the king and parliament behind them. The bully got bigger and the colonies got angrier. In fact, the colonists got so angry, they decided to have a tea party. And this wasn't your grandmother's tea party with tiny sandwiches and fancy teas with milk and cream. This was more like a food fight in the cafeteria with lights out during Sloppy Joe Day. You see, the colonists were pretty mad. They had to buy tea from the British, which meant they had to pay the taxes on tea, which meant they had less money, and so on. Basically, they had a fit and a plan to rebel against the British. They snuck on to the ships disguised as Indians and chucked over 300 crates of tea into the harbor. Today, that tea would be worth almost $1 million. I'm guessing the British were pretty mad, and I'm guessing the colonists felt pretty good about it. The colonists were pretty divided. Some thought that we owe Britain because, well, Britain was our family, and we should behave ourselves like good little children, while others felt we may have a generational history with the British, but we established ourselves as our own country and needed to be free from Britain. This divide is between colonists who think of themselves as either patriots or loyalists. But as Britain began to abuse their power more, those loyal to the king became more sympathetic to the patriots. In fact, Benjamin Franklin created a political cartoon that showed a snake cut into pieces. Each piece represented one of the colony regions from New England to South Carolina. The label read "Join or Die." It represented the need for the colonies to unite to defeat Britain. Fast forward to Bunker Hill. This battle was epic. Here came the British, and they were armed and had the advantage of many soldiers. The British felt confident that this would be the end of the rebellion. Little did they know, the colonists' militias stayed up all night. They worked to prepare for this battle. They dug a trench and prepared their weapons and their strategy. They knew exactly how far the bullets would travel, and when the British charged, they waited into just the right moment to shoot and hit their targets. The British troops fought like robots. They were just following the king's orders. The colonists, on the other hand, had so much to lose and fought Exactly like that, an animal trapped in a corner. It should be clear now, even though the colonists lost the Battle of Bunker Hill, I believe actually won. They won because they showed the British they had a reason to fight. There weren't just some soldiers in an army ending up there because King told them to go. These were tough people who fought for their rights to be free from British rule. They wanted to rule themselves. They were willing to die for that freedom. Nothing scarier than someone with nothing left to lose. Signing off, this is Michael Crammer with Liberty News Network.